Welcome back to Mark Holbus the Vlog, everyone. Thanks for joining in on this absolutely beautiful day. Great day to go for a drive in the F-Type, but that brings me to two things. Number one, I'm going to head on down to West Edmonton Mall, and there's a car there for raffle, but I want to show you this car, do a bit of a walk around, because it's a car that I've also added to the list of potential vehicles that I'm looking at potentially buying. Not sure yet, still working on the decisions, and unfortunately the options and the cars that are available, that list is shrinking pretty dramatically. So unfortunately, I'm having to expand my search a little bit across the country. I'm also looking at one of these cars. We're going to take a drive down to the mall, and I'll show you what that's all about. And when we get back, I want to talk about this whole new topic about our non-car people, our sort of the anti-car groups winning the battle. Unfortunately, driving an F-Type, and I'm sure most of you out there who are watching this channel can really appreciate, we're car people. And the fact of the matter is, we feel like we're starting to lose the battle with regulators, with the public opinion polls, with the industry standards as a whole, and also even with, say, policing and all of that. I mean, they're making rules that everything is really bucking the whole idea of driving cars and having fun with cars that are fun to drive. And the unfortunate part is, every time I turn around, there's been some change in policies or some change in the laws. Industry's changing as a whole, but there's some really aggressive changes that I see kind of coming, down the horizon, if you will, and it's becoming very, very disheartening. But more than disheartening, it's actually becoming very worrisome. So I want to talk about that, but let's head on down to the mall first, and I'll show you the car that's currently on for raffle, but I'm actually potentially looking. It's made my list of cars that I'm looking at least as an option potentially for. Hey buddy. So I just thought I'd come down to West Edmonton Mall here, actually have a look. I've been shopping around for some exotics lately, and quite frankly, they actually have one here on raffle, and it's one of the cars I've actually been looking at. A little more money probably than I initially started looking, but hey, let's do a quick walk around. And it's a Ferrari 488. Now, I've been looking at the GTB, which is the coupe, but here we have a Spider. They're great cars. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the 488, and is it a contender? Marcus, hey buddy. Here, come here. Let's take a look at the Ferrari. Let's go look. Let's come. So here it is. Obviously this car's for raffle right now, so here it is. We've got Win Me. So with any luck, I actually do have tickets, so with any luck I actually win this car and I don't have to spend the 350 grand. But anyway, let's take a look at this. Taking a look around, I noticed, if you look at the buttresses here coming off the back, I noticed they don't align with the seats. Not the biggest thing, but I thought that seems to be a bit of a design issue in my opinion. They should have all that aligned. We have lots of little vents there, and we have some great exhaust and some pretty interesting touches. Now you'll notice down here, we've got some very, very cool splitter action and the classic Ferrari F1 style tail, F1 light. Got lots of ventilation. Just love the back end of these cars, super clean looking. We come around, obviously carbon fiber. You've got to have carbon on a Ferrari. Got these kind of interesting handles, a little different, not all that sleek, but I definitely love the flow of these cars here. And then looking over here, of course, you've got lots of vents here. When you look down, you'll notice you've got some vents that come here, and lots of interesting aero in the 488. Looking down in here, you can actually see you've got some aero going on in this lower splitter area here. And like every modern Ferrari, lots of carbon ceramic brakes right there. Beautiful car, absolutely stunning. And you have these cool mirrors, classic Ferrari look. And how about the interior? I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous. Lipstick red, absolutely stunning. You've got the rev light on the top of the steering wheel, and of course, lots of great stitching, two-tone. Absolutely beautiful Ferrari all the way around. What do you think? What do you think there, buddy? You like the 488? Yeah. Is it one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, what do you guys think? Drop a line if you like the 488, GTB, Spider, or any variation of. How about you? Do you like the 488? Hey?
No, but you can go get me the Gucci purse upstairs.
Oh, Gucci purse. I'll buy the Ferrari, you get the purse, okay? Okay, so what do you all think about the Ferrari 488? Looking at the GTB, probably more so than the Spider, but the Spider, absolutely beautiful, magnificent car. Definitely needs to make a list for anybody who's a true car enthusiast that's looking for an exotic car. I mean, how can you ever forget Ferrari? They're putting out so many great models. From the 488 really just started it. You've got the F8 Tributo. You've also got some of the other now hybrids coming out. Honestly, the selections and potential vehicles that you can buy are now almost limitless. I mean, there's some great opportunities out there for some great purchases, not just in the Ferrari world, but also, I mean, McLaren, they've got the 765. They one-upped actually the 720, which was a magnificent car, and it was decimating anything else out there. Of course, Corvette, now there's word they're coming out with the Z06, flat plane crank, probably in that 620 horsepower, should be magnificent, another great driver. But there's just so many great cars coming out right now. But let's get into the topic that I started to talk about here, and that's where the industry's headed as a whole. First, let's start out by saying I came across a topic the other day, actually, somebody that I, kind of in my circles, brought this to my attention. And have you heard about the UN Agenda 2030? If you get a chance to review it, maybe take it with a grain of salt. But honestly, if any of that comes true, it not only crushes a car person's dreams, but it actually crushes any dreams for anybody who likes to, work hard, do a little things extra, maybe kind of save for their next toy or their next vacation, or wants to do more for themselves. That UN agenda is potentially going to crush any kind of dreams, and it actually took me by surprise. I mean, we all know where industry's headed step by step, but this looks like a very aggressive global approach to that whole situation. And honestly, I can't speak enough that we need to do what we have to do to stop these people in their tracks. This is nothing short of, well, I won't even talk about it. I'm not about the politics and all of that, but I'll let you decide for yourself. Look on the UN website. But honestly, there's lots going on in industry right now that makes a real car person feel like they're on an island. I'll be honest. I mean, driving the F-Type here, it feels so invigorating. It feels so liberating. And taking it out, and I don't have to drive like an idiot or a hooligan. Just, you step on it a little bit as you're merging onto a freeway. No laws broken. Everything's legit. And you're keeping it under control. But it's those little moments that just light up our day. It's going for the drives. It's listening to the sound of the exhaust. Maybe you crank up the stereo, listen to it, a little music, then break that up with a good, thrust, a punch of the throttle to get that sensation. I mean, those are the things us car people live for. I mean, it's a beautiful Saturday here to go for a drive, and I can't think of a better thing to be doing than heading out in a trip in the Jag F-Type here. I mean, maybe you got a Ferrari, Lambo, maybe you have a Mustang, or maybe even a Type R Civic. It doesn't matter what you drive. If you're a car person, an enthusiast, and you enjoy driving, that's all that matters. The point of the matter is, all of those factors are getting yanked out from underneath us. I mean, let's start about the whole idea, first of all, about the laws. I mean, we see the laws changing every single day. I can talk about here where I live. I mean, they're clamping down, the photo radar and the speeding. I get it. You know what? It is about public safety, so I understand why they're doing some of the things they do, adjusting speed limits and that, but now they're getting to the point where the whole city is stamped with a 40 kilometer per hour speed limit. That absolutely seems barbaric to me. I mean, that's borderline ridiculous if you ask me. I mean, between the 40 kilometer an hour speed limit, then you get into some of these zones where they've got 40 different signs. It seems like every 15 feet they've got a new sign that goes 40 to 30 to 50 to 30 to 40, and you absolutely get blown away and lost in the barrage of actual signage. And it not only takes the wind out of your sails for a car person, which is fine, because I mean, if it's a 40 kilometer an hour zone, you shouldn't be speeding anyhow. But the point of the matter is, it gets a point where you don't want to drive your fun car, because if you're driving something, say a double clutch or a manual gearbox, you're constantly have to adjust your speed and up and down just to satisfy a 30 40 30 40 zone. If you want to standardize it, make 30. That's fine. Do that. But also take the freeways, make them freeways. Don't put intersections on every single 50 or 100 yards on a freeway like we have here in the Yellowhead. I mean, I know there's some talks that the city wants to remove and reduce some of the intersections, but they're not doing that yet. All they do is add more construction zones, add more intersections, even in freeways and areas that are otherwise considered 70 or 80 kilometer per hour zones really should be clear sailing. And so it's the constant adjustments and traffic control that, makes it difficult to really enjoy your drive. So that's one thing, and that's fine. Again, that's the balance. That's the local regulators trying to balance, safety with, the drivers and pedestrian safety. So that in itself has a lot of benefits. But again, I think some of the choices and the way they do it seems a little bit silly. But it's not even about that. The big thing for me is what's going on now is industry is driving pure electric. Pure electric, we know that. I gotta ask the question, what good is a pure electric car when you have to dispose of that lithium battery, in 10 years down the road? But if every single car has a lithium battery in it, what does that stockpile look like? Okay, you can repurpose them somewhere else, maybe in some sort of solar mission, but at the end of the day, most of those applications eventually run out of steam, and you're going to have an absolute mountain of batteries to dispose of. We're talking about heavy metals, and you're going to have to get rid of them. Where? Landfills? You can't burn them. Don't know where they'll put them. You won't be able to totally repurpose them because they'll be worn out. They'll be done. So it's kind of an interesting thought. And so I like where some of the brands now, Porsche and some of these are dabbling with the hydrogen, factors. Now, there's other concerns with using hydrogen. Obviously, it's a very volatile, explosive. The containment part is very challenging to consider. So it's, in itself is a bit of a dangerous substance to be utilizing. But nonetheless, it's something that at least some of these car manufacturers are looking outside the box and saying maybe a pure electric isn't always the cat's patootie. Maybe there's other options. And so, hydrogen, maybe a combination of hybrid, electric. There's a lot of different options we have to explore. Think about if every single car or every single house in your neighborhood, wherever that is you live, had to plug in their car at 4 or 5 o'clock when they get home from work. The system would crash. I'll tell you right now, the transmission utilities don't have the juice, and they'll never have the juice. And for them to produce the juice for every one of us to charge our cars at the end of a day, the amount of coal or natural gas or turbine or solar that would have to be utilized is almost astronomical. It's just not going to happen. It's not feasible. It's literally a business driver. It's a business model for those trying to make a serious statement, sure, on the environment wise, but as well, they're trying to make a statement and look how much money I can generate. I am literally the richest man in the world. But that's something that seems to me just not looking at the whole picture. And, it's definitely a business driver to go pure electric. So that in itself is taking the wind out of the sails for car people like you and like myself. But the other thing I want to add is, there's so much hype in social media today, and I'm sure if you've all, obviously almost all of us have dabbled in social media to some extent or another. There's so much pressures nowadays in social media for everything. I mean, young people struggle with pressures, to look their best and so they adhere and fit within these boxes of conformity so that their peers accept them, for the way they look, the way they sound, the way they dress, all of that. Well, the same thing goes for car people. And now the unfortunate part is owning a performance car is now looked upon as hooliganism. There's often times and places I've experienced now that there's people that look at car people as kind of rogue hooligans. And I mean, I see it. There's times I'm driving down, or I'd be going down for a cruise on what we call White Ave here in Edmonton. And I know in the Lamborghini it was even worse. Not so much in the Jag, as I've mentioned before. The Jag actually has a lot of people that really love these cars. So I haven't experienced it too much here. But I'll tell you, driving some of the other cars, for as many people that love them and, I give you the thumbs up, there's so many people that look down through their noses and say, well, you're socially irresponsible. what are you thinking driving a car with 10 cylinders or 12 cylinders, making all that noise and annoyance and, causing all that disruption in traffic and, just becoming a nuisance to society. And unfortunately, a lot of people now are starting to adopt that mentality where car people are now considered almost an outsider. Other than the small groups where even if you get together as a group and you want to be just straight up like, I've seen it. I've actually witnessed it firsthand where there's small car gatherings and in most cases they're innocent. They're just, it's about, 50 cars get together, a bunch of people, get together with masks and, they're taking a lot of the precautions that you would consider as needed, obviously given the circumstances we're in. People are taking those precautions, but it's interesting how many of these little car gatherings and get-togethers, cops show up. And why is that? They assume that people are going to be dabbling in kind of all kinds of illegal activity, and it's frustrating because in most cases people just want to get together. They've been cooped up. They just want to talk cars. They want to enjoy a bit of a drive. Show off their polished up, bright shiny new paint job or their new rims. And that's what car people do. That they love the experience of not just driving it, but a lot of people enjoy kind of looking at their cars and groping them and sharing them with other people. And my kids enjoy going for rides and my kids' friends, and we enjoy that. And it's more than just, it's not about showing off. It's really just about enjoying kind of the fruits of what is out there and what's available. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that seem to just sort of look down through their noses at car people these days. I mean, the number of car gatherings and the number of car enthusiasts is dwindling by the day. It's pretty clear to me that there's far less popularity in the old hot rodders. There's far less popularity in the supercar groups getting together. And unfortunately, it's a few of those extreme groups that mess it up for everybody. Yeah, absolutely. And there are still some of those that abuse their privileges and rights to drive, and they go out there and they raise hell. But you're always going to have that at any level, and unfortunately that does ruin it for everybody. But the reality is most people just want to get out, enjoy a nice drive, not have too much disruption, and honestly just want to get out there. But the reality is there's so many pressures now from outside bearing down on car people and the car industry that to produce a car with power or sounds seems to be almost criminal. They look down at that, and here we go. I can't help but think what 15 years looks like from now. I mean, they're talking about 2035, and we're going to be in a world where the streets are going to be whisper quiet. And to some people, that's a major win. But I saw the other day an M6 out ripping around, making a lot of noise, and at the V10, and he was straight piped, and it was a loud car, and he was being a bit of a jerk himself, just dodging and weaving in traffic. But the sound of it was actually inspiring. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. There was a van of people right there that I didn't show them, but obviously they were extremely happy. For you that couldn't see because the camera angle, unfortunately I wish I could have showed you that, but there was a van of people that were absolutely just like thumbs up, giggling, cheering for the car. They love the Jag. And honestly, that's really, really what it's all about. And so again, everybody, tell me what your thoughts are. Do you feel that, as a car person, that, it's becoming far less popular? It's becoming almost like we're going against the grain here right now. Love to hear what you all think about that. Be sure to drop a line. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.